People, welcome to Top 6 Fan TV and this first episode of the preview show. And in the house, I have, I wouldn't like to say the usual suspects, but some crazy suspects. I wish we had Nate on last weekend before the Ole loss. But, now he has a bit of a smile on and Sly.
He
Obviously,
was
Chelsea is
crying.
still
He was busy crying.
rocking it. He's been crying, yeah, a whole week. But anyways, we'll get into a preview of the top 6 teams' games for this weekend right after this.
Oh, he's done it! Cometh now! Cometh the man! And it's that one, Bellingham! It's 8 goals in his last 8 Premier League starts at Emirates Stadium. Salah! Wow! What a strike by Mohamed Salah!
Ball down the channel, and it's played into Fernandes in the penalty area. Oh,
Aguero looking for the 1-2 Balotelli. He's won the title!
Haven't they? Here's Harry Kane.
Kane goes for it! What a goal from
In business here, Lukaku scores on second debut. It's only taken 14 minutes.
Brilliant. Welcome back from that. And, if you've just joined us, welcome to Top 6 Fan TV. My name is Matthew, of course, your host. And if it's your first time, please feel free to like and subscribe. Most importantly, hit the bell button there to get some notifications. And we'll be excited to have you. And rumbling on to the show, I'd like to introduce one of our resident Man United fans, Mr. Nate. Say what's up.
Hi guys.
Yeah, the smile says it, Nate. You don't have to say anything
Yeah, of
else.
course.
Yeah, Carrick at the wheel, right? Carrick at the wheel.
No.
Anyways, and of course from Stamford Bridge, Sly loves a bit of United banter, as you can see. But one of our resident Chelsea fans, Mr. Sly, Sylvester.
Yeah, I think.
Is known. Welcome to the
Yeah,
show,
I think
man.
everyone loves a bit of United banter, man. Like it's one of the things that you actually unite us.
Yes. Pun intended. Brilliant. Yeah, so Nate, you're smiling. We'll kick off the show with your top highlight from the last week. Nate and Sly, yours as well. But we'll kick off with yours, Nate, before we jump into the previews. So what was your highlight of the week? I'm giving you only one because I know you have like a zillion after the Champions League.
If anyone has a different highlight for this week, they are lying. It doesn't matter what club you support, and that is the truth. It's amazing. Like every time we do, every time we do things, it's amazing just how big the club is. When we signed Ronaldo, I was like, nothing is going to stop us. And now what everyone is talking about is Ralph Ragnick. So forget about Ole, forget about Carrick, interim, it's now go time. And in me giving that highlight, I've given the highlight for everyone else. So people should not lie, start deceiving that they have a different highlight, Vanna squad or who. Nothing. It's Ragnick, and that is all.
Okay, brilliant. That's yours. The appointment, of course, of Ralph Ragnick as United manager, 6-month interim contract, right? Or as interim manager, so that's a 6-month contract.
And most importantly, don't forget the most important bit. The 2 years, that is going to be.
He's going to be the kit manager after that for 2 years, right?
It's okay.
Sorry, I missed that, right?
As you know, like Arsenal must be the unluckiest club. After we've been battered by Man City and Liverpool, and we sweated against Tottenham, we're going to be battered by Chelsea. Just when the bad run is coming to an end, Arsenal is coming to United, and it just so happens we have a perfect tactician for you guys.
Well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Oh my God.
Sly, I think you had that bit after being battered by Chelsea. So it's already punch down by United fans. Right?
Oh yes, it will be. It will be.
You know, the thing is that, Matt, let me tell you, like, it's just typical of you, of what I call as scum fans. Anyone that is from my generation knows what I mean when I call them scum fans. Scum fans are known. They're known throughout the world. These guys, they really think they are the nucleus of football. And not realizing this organism evolves and it grows. And at one point, yes, you are the center of it in terms of the Premier League. You know? But holding on to this notion, holding on to this idea of, you know what, if we sneeze, football freaking catches COVID. Oh, bro. Like, we're long past that. The things that happen at your club are so minuscule, you know, that you honestly, I'm being real right now. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's my introduction. Excuse me. I'm talking about my highlights. My highlights are genuinely on the back of the fact that these guys are slowly, in a very short history, going to be reminded, of how football has evolved, how the world has changed. You know, like these guys are like white people in slavery is still alive today. That's how these guys. That's their mindset. It's over. But for me, as a Chelsea fan, just to speak to my club, my highlight for the week has really been the fact, tradition shifted, and I like to think, because I always used to worry about international breaks. First games after international breaks, have the team come back together, have the team gelled, you've gone from playing one system, the next week you've gone and you're now playing another system. Like, have guys actually come back together? Always used to worry me. And the Leicester game worried me a lot. What we did at the Leicester game, what we did after that, coming into the Juve game, those two games really just kind of started solidify my kind of thinking process in terms of, Tuchel, bad man. He's bad. He's bad.
Yeah. That was your highlight.
That's
the win over the weekend.
Sorry?
The bro is such a liar, man.
No, that was his highlight. Hey.
No.
It's always about other people. It's always about other
your
people.
Highlight, your highlight, they didn't ask you for your club's highlight. They asked you for your highlight of the week. And I have receipts. I have receipts to prove. I have receipts to prove this.
Yeah.
I will just leave it at that. There's receipts to prove this.
Guys, all right. Let's moving on to the game first week, because we asked to preview the.
That's the problem
for the top 6. Hey, hold your fire. Your time is coming, man.
These guys don't know how to move on.
They asked you for. You asked for highlights and you gave match reviews.
Their club has not moved on. Their club has not
United years.
Don't know how long. Please, man.
All right, guys.
They asked you for highlights and you've given highlights of matches. This is not good. Anyhow, let's go.
Yeah, I'd like to have you on after you lost, this weekend. You said
we know. I mean, it's a given. The loss is coming. I want to have you after Thursday, Mr. Matt. How about that?
No worries, no worries, no worries. So, anyways, moving on to the match. So we have obviously a number of games over this weekend. We have well, it's some really tricky games from the traditional top six teams that are playing over the weekend. That's both United clubs, the Pride from London,
Oh, they
Chelsea,
give me
Arsenal, and
Maestro,
Spurs,
please. Come on.
and
That's what you
Liverpool.
chose to listen to. They asked me for highlight. I give
Slide still going on.
I think he now wants to give us the real highlights.
No, no, hey, man, hold up. So we're going in and we're actually kicking off. We're kicking off with the Chelsea Man United game. Chelsea welcoming Manchester United to Stamford Bridge with Carrick at the wheel. Kick off with you, Nate. How do you think Carrick is going to set up, and do you see him driving momentum into that game?
I said nothing.
No. You know, we need to be real. You know, Chelsea. By the way, Chelsea have my best player in the Premier League is Reece James. You know, I have too much respect for that guy. I love the way he plays. I love him as a character. I mean, I think he's a likable guy. The way he his social media activity, you know, is focused on how he was helping his club. I forget which club he was at when he was on loan, and they'd gone down into financial problems during COVID, you know, and he's been donating to them. I've really forgotten the club, and it's just amazing. But anyway, even off the pitch, I love Thomas Tuchel. I wished, you know, would get him when he had left PSG. And I love the work that he has done at Chelsea. You know, the way they just go in and out of they just let me just say they weave in and out of traffic. You know, they're just so smooth the way they do their thing. You know, and he has managed to set up a system and instill, you know, the system in his players. You know, he's not afraid to do stuff. Look at Trevor Chalobah. You know, he's willing to give Trevor. Yeah, he's willing to give players a chance. And I like cerebral coaches personally. You know, I want to play this way, and if a player fits, a player fits. It's not about I don't care how much it costs, 80 million, 70 million. It doesn't matter. You know, can he play? He can play, and that is it. You know, so when you get all that and you compare it to Michael Carrick, I don't even know where to start. I don't even have the energy to even compare, because these guys are worlds apart. First of all, the coaches themselves are worlds apart. Carrick is not a coach. Carrick doesn't know anything. You know, when you put him side by side to Thomas Tuchel, you know, this is a guy who was an assistant to Ole, and you know my feelings about Ole. I told you my feelings from my first show. It's just a disaster, you know. So this is a guy we are coming up against, yeah. And then he has a fantastic team, and I'm saying this I mean intentionally. He has a fantastic team, not a fantastic squad of players. He has a team that plays his style of football, that know what they are doing. We, on the other hand, have a squad that is being led by someone who does not know anything, you know. So there is no way, and I'm saying it right now unless Carrick plays 11 defenders, there is no way Chelsea is losing. You know, the only time they had a hard time,
draw.
can you imagine?
No draw.
There's nothing. It is 3 points for Chelsea, and that is it. You know, if it's 1-0, it will be 1-0. If it's 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 6-0, I don't care. Chelsea is winning the game. You know, and that is just obvious. You know, and we need to be real as fans. I love Manchester United, but I know the truth. You know, We're just disorganized.
Stamford, eh? Is there going to be a whooping? Stamford Bridge.
I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a whooping. It may be. I don't know if Carrick is going to come and defend and defend and defend. It may not be a whooping, but it will definitely be 3 points for Chelsea.
Well, let's wait.
I will be shocked.
I thought
first of all, we shall not win. We shall not win, but I will be shocked if we get a draw. It's a definite win for Chelsea.
I thought you'd have had a bit more confidence in Carrick, after the midweek win.
No. Carrick was always assistant. Now, if I didn't have any confidence in Ole, how can I have even a slight bit of confidence in Carrick? Nothing.
Well said. Let's bring in Sly at this particular moment. So Sly, Chelsea welcoming United to the bridge. As you heard, United fans have already written off the result. It looks like a free hit for them. They're expecting a loss, but taking the game seriously, yes, United actually have a squad of players that you would say better than majority of the Premier League teams in there. So you do expect them to give it a good go, right? And they actually have the players to hurt you, right? So what's your take on the game? Do you think you'll steamroll them, or do you feel they'll come in and set up conservatively and look to nick a point or a draw?
You see, the thing, Matthew, is you have to be mature about these things, and you have to appreciate and understand that there's levels to these things. Like Nate coming on here and pretending to throw himself on the sword and say, you know what, we're going to lose. It's their points, and we will see what happens there afterwards because our thought is on the future. It's just so. It's an isolated characteristic of genuine, general Man United fans. These guys have no perception of the idea of just, like, first and foremost, as a fan, how can you come on a public forum and actually accept defeat? This is the Premier League. Anyone can beat anyone.
This is how it is.
Only when I didn't say anything when you were talking, bro. It's only when we're talking about the elitism, when you're talking about, you know what, I've leaked. This is where the title is going to be decided, because we all know, like this season, what happens between the top three currently versus themselves and those around them is going to decide the titles. But no one is going into a Brighton game saying, you know what, I'm going to take a loss. It's this idea of just holding on to this hope. It's this idea of just holding on to the past that really just frustrates me about United fans. So when I come out this weekend, for me, traditionally, like, I remember being a kid. I remember being beaten by Man United, and just not even loving football at one point anymore, and just feeling hurt. But I also remember whooping their ass. I also remember wiping Stamford Bridge with Man United jerseys, that has also given me personal highlights, So I'm never going to go into a game like this weekend and think to myself, you know what, that's 3 points in the bag. That's 3 points in the bag, and that's fine. And you know what, to some degree, I almost hope they get 3 points, because it's just going to it's going to give them this sense of excitement. It's going to give them this sense of just kind of oh my God, maybe we are onto something, and false hope that they're going to just come crashing down like they always do and just not be able to reach the level playing path. The way we are structured, the way in which we're playing, the way in which we as a club have evolved, we have grown, and dare I say, even Arsenal as a club structure, grown beyond what Man United even has in foresight. You led the race for so long. led the race financially. You led the race in terms of
lead the
interest.
race financially.
You led the race in terms of team building, team management, and so forth for so long. But all of it hinged on one person. And when that one person left, all of a sudden, like your knees just buckled. And all you're trying to do is just say, oh, let's replace this. This one will replace it. This one will replace it. And it's like children getting excited over candy. Like you're always just gonna just jump on bandwagons of anything
for a fan of a club.
So for me,
gentlemen.
just
for a
for
fan,
me, just in terms
for
of
a fan of a club,
I'm looking forward
that
to it.
is famed
a good game, but
for hiring and firing managers. That is quite some. You have now. You really have now.
Come to understand is that we've been doing this for like the last.
Nathan's like that.
Is there? I want Sly to tell me which manager of Chelsea since Abramovich came. Actually, not even since Abramovich, since he started watching Chelsea. I want him to tell me which manager of Chelsea has spent 3 years at that club. He's talking about hiring and firing. Don't do that.
Nathan's like counter banter is not what we're here for today. I think we're going to let's focus on the game now. Let's focus on the game. Nate, how do you think Carrick is going to set up? What formation? Which players?
First of all, just to say that I'm not throwing the game away, but I mean these are just facts. Number one, we don't have Maguire. Okay, let's just assume we don't have our best. Varane is not playing. Maguire is not playing. Fred is not playing. Fred is injured. Shaw is injured. You know, so we have injuries in key areas. Pogba is injured as well. I mean, these are 5 first team players that are not playing. You know, so I mean, couple that with Carrick's, or I don't know, whatever Carrick does, you know. So if you had asked me if Solskjaer had been fired after the Liverpool game and Rangnick was now in charge of that team 3 games in, I would be speaking different right now. It's not that I'm throwing the game away. I'm just stating facts, you know. Anyway, Carrick.
Do you think he's going to start? Let me ask you in particular. Sorry for judging it, but in midfield on the attack, because it's quite clear that defense is more or less predictable. You have Lindelof and Bailly coming in at the center of the defense, but in the midfield, specifically on the attacking side, do you see Van de Beek starting in there?
Yes,
or
as well as start,
go ahead.
As well as.
No, I was just saying, as well as the rest of the attackers. Of course, we know Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo is going to start definitely. Rashford will start, I think. Sancho will start, but
over Greenwood.
No, Greenwood won't start. I think he's going to go Sancho and Rashford and Ronaldo. But I think because McTominay is also ill, you know. So so if he recovers, maybe he'll start. But I think that's like 7 players in the first team. So he's going to start. I think he'll start Fred. If McTominay is back, he'll start McTominay, Van de Beek, and Fernandes. So those 3 have to start. Yeah. But how is he going to use them? For me, I personally believe Van de Beek in our system, in our team, works better as an 8. I think Van de Beek needs to start together with Bruno Fernandes, not one for the other.
Okay, interesting. Sly, on the Chelsea side, how big I'm looking at your injury list, right? It's piling up, man. It's piling up. So you have, unfortunately, one of my favorite players. Well, not favorite, but players with whom I was most impressed at Chelsea, grabbing an injury. Ben Chilwell there. Flying wing back, of course, with Reece James. So how big a loss is he going to be? You also have Kai Havertz out. You have N'Golo Kante, who's another recent injury out. He's been in fantastic form. Mateo Kovacic has also been in great form. He's also out. And I think those are the major ones out. So if you look at it, I don't think Lukaku is fit to play. We have seen that Roma is back.
He'll be on the bench, maybe.
Yeah, he'll probably be on the bench. But how big are those losses for Chelsea? And do you think United can dent your momentum?
The thing is, like, in terms of left backs, there aren't many in the world that are better than John Chilwell. In terms of when you get into the midfield, there aren't many in the world that are better than N'Golo. In terms of strikers in the world, there aren't many in the world that are better than Lukaku. But I think what we do have at Chelsea at the moment is of quality players, and we have them in depth.
Right.
And we have a system whereby, to a certain degree, not to say it doesn't really matter who plays, because this is sports at the end of the day, the human element comes into play. But we have a system whereby, if you said the ball is here, the left back, whether Alonso, whether Chilwell, whatever, will know where they will need to be. The structure that Tuchel has put into play, the system that he has put into play, and the manner in which he has been able to drum it into the players in such a short space of time is clear and evident, So I never really worried too much in terms of, okay, we've got players off the sideline, because, roles and authorities will get tweaked. We have a top-class manager that is able to kind of do that. I mean, the statistics speak for themselves. Look at our goal ratio, for example. We've lost, we got rid of Tammy, which hurt me personally as a Chelsea fan, in terms of, one of our own academy graduate, came through the ranks, believed in the team and stuck with us. He left. Thank God.
Who's that?
Business side.
Tammy Abraham.
We inserted Tammy Abraham. We inserted back close, we learned from our issues in the past, But he left, we had Werner and Lukaku there. We haven't had them for the last few games, but it didn't matter. Havertz put there, and then everyone was putting pressure on Havertz. And thinking, oh, you have to bring the goals. No. Our leading scorers are wing backs. Reece James is our top scorer. And he's the most assists that he's had is from the other side, in terms of Chilwell, So it's like, so and those are not areas you would traditionally expect goals from. And I think that just goes to say what I was even, rambling and babbling on about at the beginning, talking about United fans in terms of the game has evolved. I look at wing back, I look at guys like Trent. And I don't consider Trent a defender. I don't consider Reece James a defender. I look at these guys and say, these are very good. These are midfielders that can defend, and that's how much the game has evolved. And unfortunately, it's like, looking at our opponents, that's something that they have not yet come to terms with. They've not yet recognized. Like, Gary Neville was a great right back, but in where football is going today, Gary Neville would not be as he, and would not have been able to be in a position to have achieved as much as he would have achieved in today's game. There's a leap that's happening. And so when you ask me about, okay, let's look at your lineup for this weekend in terms of the injuries and so forth, you will need, any club right now needs a squad in depth, and our opponents, unfortunately, they don't have that. Any squad right now needs a manager that is able to work with whatever he has, and they don't have that. I expect the win. You know? But
Brilliant.
You don't
but,
say.
So,
So in so many words, you're actually saying what I was saying before.
No.
Ah.
I think Matthew, you need to mediate this conversation a bit more because
I see where Nate is going. And we'll give you guys the room after the show. Man. We'll give you guys
and
we have to move on.
You have not.
Things. Nate, we have to
You
move
have
on
called
to Chelsea.
Okay.
United.
Just 10 seconds.
So,
You've called Tuchel a fantastic manager, and you haven't even thanked United's new manager for that.
No. Let's not go into
that. Anyway, let's go. For the mentorship. Anyway.
Let me also thank Obote, because without Obote, I would have not have got home safe last night. I really come home, man. Chill, yeah.
You guys.
Anyway,
so predictions, Nate.
It's a Chelsea win. I'm not going to say it's going to be a drubbing.
I want a score. I just want a score.
You want a score?
Just a score prediction.
Okay, just because I feel like Carrick will defend, I think it will be 2-0.
2-0 to Chelsea. All right.
But I really don't know.
That score. Sorry.
Okay.
I will concur with that in the sense that it will be an aggregate 2-0, but I think the actual score will be 3-1. They will get a goal and they will think or maybe not. Let's be honest. No, they won't get the goal. I was sorry.
That's a lie. Not with the clean sheets Chelsea is keeping. That is a lie.
Obviously, I'm looking forward to the battle of the 37-year-olds. With Ronaldo and Thiago and Thiago. That was interesting, But I expect a win from us without a doubt. I expect another clean sheet for us without a doubt. How we go about doing it in terms of dominance, in terms of how much we dominate them, is up in the air. But definitely a clear win for us. Let me throw it in there and just say 3-0.
3-0, brilliant. Okay, now moving on swiftly. I know you guys have
to these other games. My God. Anyway.
We're moving on. And Nate, we're moving on to your neighbors, right? They have a tricky tie.
What?
Your noisy neighbors, Manchester City. So they're welcoming West Ham to the Etihad. And West Ham obviously had a bit of a blip last weekend when they lost to Wolves. I think it was 1-0 win for Wolves.
1-0,
yeah, Molineux. But before that, they've been on quite a solid run, West Ham, and were actually within the thick of things in the top 4. So, Manchester City, of course, have been as imperious as Chelsea over the last.
Did you watch the PSG game? Oh,
yeah, that was quite something.
My.
If you looked at the squad on paper, you'd be like, "Yeah, Man City are going to get done." Yeah, but my friend, speaking of philosophies that have been drummed into the teams, right? Sly, I think your point on what Tuchel has done at Chelsea can be mirrored to what Guardiola has done.
My point, which Sly parroted.
Right. Oh my goodness. So anyway, there. Look, we're not even in position to discuss which City players will start because we know Guardiola is the father of Tinkerman.
Yeah.
Guardiola is the father of Tinkerman, so you just don't know who's going to start with, and he's a nightmare for fantasy managers out there.
Yeah, true.
You don't know. I mean, De Bruyne these days. De Bruyne benches, although I think he has a bit of a knock.
No. He has COVID.
Oh, he has COVID.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That.
Him and Foden and.
Yeah. So it's COVID.
Ferran.
So you have City players out. You have Ferran Torres. You have De Bruyne, Jack Grealish. He's also a bit injured. and then Phil Foden is also out, and then obviously the others not really significant academy players, and Benjamin Mendy is behind bars. So obviously, obviously, but missing Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, and Kevin De Bruyne in there, as well as Ferran Torres. So his midfield seems to be starting to take some hits, because those are significant players. But obviously, with Ilkay Gundogan and Bernardo Silva playing the football of their lives, and with Bernardo Silva in particular, you expect them to, as Guardiola says, keep the ball, pass the ball, keep the ball, pass the ball. So, what result are you looking at there, Nate? Before I go to Sly,
Man City win. I mean, because
score.
Yeah, Man City win. Because you see that the thing again, what I was talking about, that these things are mirrored, and that is why I think Liverpool comes short, because when someone is out, it is it's a bit tricky who will come in. But you see teams like now Man City and Chelsea are really primed for this thing, because you have a Callum Hudson-Odoi, you have this CHO, I know these other guys. Now De Bruyne is not in. Did you watch the game? I don't know which game was it. Who City? I don't know who City played. The kid Palmer. You saw Palmer?
Cole Palmer.
My goodness.
I haven't watched him proper, to be honest. But
you could see. You could see there was something there. He has a clean touch. The way he turns, his turns off. Oh my God, it was good. But then, I mean, you have Gundogan, Guardiola. These days, I think these days is adverse to substitutions. He just keeps his players there playing for 90 minutes. And he will not make a sub. He will not make a sub. So I think his key player and Rodri is now on some kind of, you can see he has stepped up another level, and it's just amazing to watch. So it's going to be the same thing. Sterling is playing. Jesus scoreline 3-1.
3-1, yeah. West Ham played on Thursday in Europa, so they'll probably, although to me, Moyes did rest a lot of those players, Declan Rice, Benrahma, and and the like. So those guys were rested. But I think 3-1 sounds about right for me. Sly, what are your thoughts on City, and whether this will be a tricky tie for them with West Ham coming to the Etihad? I mean, we know West Ham did get a result against Liverpool, albeit Liverpool were away, but they did manage to find a result against Liverpool. So, do you see them as being as a threat to Man City?
Yeah, I mean, like, just generally speaking, West Ham is a threat, and David Moyes is on some sort of resurgency, the second coming. Let me prove myself to everybody. I should have been at a top club this whole time. I mean, like, when you look at like leadership and you look at someone like Sir Alex, he's one of the greatest leaders in the world. Like, this is a guy that studied at Harvard Business School. He lectures in very selective circles about leadership and so forth. So for him to say, hey, you know what, David Moyes, it means that there was something. It's just unfortunate that the club that it happened at, the structures that were in place, that resulted in, even in terms of the debacles in which they're in today. Because David Moyes today is proving himself in that sense, and I can't help but note the similarities between himself and Sir Alex, in the sense of just he's got a group of players that on paper, yes, there are one or two stars that shine bright, the Declan Rices of this world, but he's able to galvanize them and bring them together and have them playing in a way of just like, we die. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's an amazing job what he's doing at West Ham, and I think it's awesome. And I think that, you know, it's perhaps credit to Sir Alex in terms of what he was expecting him to have been doing at United. Why he recommended him as his replacement, you know. But at the end of the day, like I was saying earlier, football has evolved, football is changing, you know. Pep is going to be able to, I hope if West Ham can withstand the first 20 minutes, you know, I think that they'll be in a very good position to be able to actually go on to win this game. And if they can't, then I can see a very tight game where City come out on top. But all that said, I'm going to go for a West Ham win.
Interesting.
Perhaps it's hopeful.
Give me a score, man.
But I think that West Ham will probably nick it. It will probably be a 2-1 to the Hammers for me.
2-1 to the Hammers. All right, and we'll move on to let's see.
Which one?
Arsenal kicking it off today against Newcastle. Slide.
Arsenal, Newcastle.
Again, a fly might just choke you, man. So, anyways, Arsenal coming off the back of a thumping at Anfield that was in, expected more or less. Although the gravity of the loss was, I think, surpassed what some of us fans were really hoping for. But yeah, so looking to come back. Newcastle, of course, have a new manager, Eddie Howe. I don't know what your thoughts are around Eddie Howe, guys, but Newcastle, of course, with Arab money, richest club in the world right now. Choosing to appoint Eddie Howe. I think for me, that's about steadying the ship and making sure they're not relegated, and then getting a few players in to start to build a spine for next season. But I think at the end of next season, the guy is out. But
that's a bit unfair. If they wanted to just kind of avoid relegation, they would have brought the Allardyce in there and so forth.
Yeah.
They do have a bit of ambition. It's just unfortunately for me, I think that their ambition is not aligned to their net worth. You know what I mean? Like they're coming in there, like on the Chelsea side, Abramovich is as an owner is a football lover,
right.
and you look at guys, and he appreciates football, but then you also have like say the Glazers on the other side, where just like, yo, you know what? We're commercial people. You know what I mean? We're in it for the business. You go over to City, and you've got ownership that is on some. We just want clout. We're out here to get clout, whatever it takes for us to get clout. So structural. And with Newcastle, they don't. I think that fans should be careful in assuming that they're gonna be there and they're just gonna throw money around and.
Yeah, so we lost Sly there. I think he'll get back. But Nate, what are you thinking about Newcastle's team? Do you think they can hurt Arsenal?
No.
This weekend at the Emirates. What are your thoughts around that game? What do you expect?
I mean, it's Arsenal's to lose. Yeah, that's it. Newcastle is not a threat, guys. Let's be calm. All this business about money and let's assume they get all this money and everything. You think a player, if a player comes to choose between Man City or Manchester United and Newcastle, you think they'll choose Newcastle? They won't choose Newcastle. So, this stuff is not just about money. Money helps you to build a reputation if you're doing the right thing. But I think Arsenal beat Newcastle. They have a very bad team.
Right.
Newcastle. Yeah.
So you don't have faith in the likes of Alan Saint-Maximin and the crew. The likes of Callum Wilson, coming in to destabilize the Gunners at the Emirates.
Nah.
Okay, what's your scoreline for that?
2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 to the Arsenal. Brilliant. And then we have Liverpool welcoming Southampton to Anfield. Yeah, another word, right?
Of course. Southampton. You know, I think Southampton is going to get relegated. Those guys are just
Sorry about that, Jack.
poor.
No worries. Yeah. So we're on the Liverpool Southampton game, right?
Klopp is going to want to impress Ragnick and tell him, like, guy, you know, everything you taught me, this is what I'm doing now. You know, as a welcome gift, he's going to.
Typical United response.
But
seriously, what are you looking at? I mean, Southampton have been in good form, actually, over the last couple of games. I think.
How many have they won?
Yeah, so unfortunately, they lost their last match against against Norwich. Before that, they haven't lost in about 5 or 6 games.
How many have they won?
They were on a decent run.
How many have they won in those 5 or 6 games?
Let me see. So they beat Villa, they beat Watford. Yeah, took Chelsea to penalties in the EFL Cup.
Oh God!
Drew with Burnley, beat Leeds, and then their last loss was in October against Chelsea. So
now tell us about Liverpool.
No, Liverpool, man, we can't talk about.
So what are we talking about?
All right, so what's your scoreline?
Win 3-0.
3-0.
Southampton.
Sly, what are you looking at? Liverpool, Southampton.
I mean, it's going to be a Liverpool win. I think these guys are really just trying to just build up as much of a gap in the interim as much as possible for you.
True.
Right.
It could even be 9-0. You know, Southampton is very susceptible to such things.
We have seen that happen. Brilliant. Okay, so Sly, what scoreline are you looking at?
That relationship between the manager and the second, it's I would probably say 3.
Yeah.
3-1 to Liverpool. The 82nd minute they score, and then in the 83rd they score, and it will give it that kind of a feel. But I think in terms of a game, it's going to be a tough game. But I see Liverpool winning 3-1.
Brilliant. 3-1 to Liverpool. All right. I concur with that. And finally, from the top 6, Spurs are away to Burnley. Spurs lost yesterday in the Europa League, by the way. To some team. What was that? Muja or something like that. Not even Europa League, Europa Conference League. Mura.
All right, guys. Good night.
That's 2-1.
What? Really?
Yeah, they lost 2-1 full-time Mura. I have no idea where Mura from, but man, these guys, I think they're an Eastern European.
Spurs Burnley?
Yes, Spurs Burnley.
The thing is, like no, listen, like Burnley are a good game. Like Burnley replaced a cold day in Stoke, right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, so Sly is having a so we'll let him still now to sort that out. But Nate, the last game, right? Spurs Burnley. How do you think that's going to flow, man?
I don't know. I think Burnley will win.
Right.
Is it at the? It's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
No, it's at Toughmore.
Oh,
That should be
definitely.
so,
Burnley will win.
that's the
Burnley
way
is winning.
Spurs are going away. So Conte is going to have
No.
tough.
Yeah, Burnley is winning. Yeah.
Yeah, Burnley is most likely going to
Oh
win.
man, Spurs.
What score are
Spurs
you
are
looking at?
Spurs are enigmatic, or for lack of a better word. You just can't
Yeah,
understand them. You know.
you never know
And
what
you see,
sure.
Matthew, football is about like Sly says that football has evolved,
Yeah,
and he's right, and Spurs are making bad decisions, and that's just what it is. I don't know what it's going to take for them to come back up, but they clearly have a manager who doesn't want to be there,
right.
and at some point that is just going to translate and rub off on the players, and he doesn't have a good squad. Mm,
He
Anyway,
has a decent squad or a decent attack. So what are you looking? What are you?
team, Matthew, team.
Yeah, well, what are you looking at as a scoreline there? Spurs away to
I
Burnley at the
think
tough one.
these guys are going to do them on set pieces, and um, maybe 2-1 or
2-1
3-1
to who? To who?
to Burnley.
To Burnley. All right. Sly, what are you looking
Yeah.
at? Spurs are tough more on the back of the Europa League in which Harry Kane
I
played
mean,
90 minutes.
first of all, apologies. I think clearly.
Yeah. Sly's internet has done him today, so we'll bid him
Yeah.
adios. Yeah, but yeah, I think we'll probably bring it to a close as well. We're out of time right now, but Mr. Nate, what is your fantasy squad looking like today? That's the last segment.
And
The show.
unfortunately, I'm not in fantasy this season,
Oh.
but I'm a consultant. And
Ah, good.
when Rangi comes,
Right.
please have Van de Beek in your squad.
Okay. Let's wait and see.
But you have to
Yeah,
have Reece James, Chaloba, these guys. You need to have them in your
I mean,
squad.
you need to get onto fan.
Yeah. I will next season.
And
When the season starts, when I miss the season start, I just can't start in the middle of the season, so I just forfeit.
yeah, I hear you on that. All right, we'll
Because I
have to
like to
leave
win.
it,
Yep.
yeah, we'll have to leave it at that. Nate, thanks for joining in. Sly got done by the internet,
Mm.
towards the end, probably for a good chunk of the show as well, but mostly towards the end. So we've missed him at the end. But thanks to Sly as well for joining in on the show. And we'll have to leave it on that. We'll have to leave it on that note and have a great weekend. Hopefully, your predictions pan out and United loses.
I'm
It
very
feels
interested. I'm very interested in the show post Thursday. I don't want you to. I want you to host me after
yeah,
Thursday.
Nate, look, we're not hosting you until next year. Yeah, until next year. So thank you, Nate. It's been real. Have a great weekend. And bye-bye.
All right. Cheers, mate.